people who are a believer in the Force but not a Jedi, his character, because that was cool seeing him just like not even needing like a lightsaber and not like force choking anybody or like throwing them around. But he like could sense where everyone was. He moved like their blasters at one point almost. Like, is that what he
would
did?
dodge their blaster bolts?
Yeah, and then they would end up shooting the stormtroopers would end up shooting the other troopers.
Yeah,
and
it was
really
cool. It was neat to see that blend of kung fu and Jedi mind tricks.
I really hope they do something like that in Episode 8 or 9.
Well, it was neat to see that kind of. The cool thing about this movie was that it was all characters. We didn't know who any of them were, except for you saw Grand Moff Tarkin, which was Peter Cushing's character, sort of risen from the dead. You saw Darth Vader a few times. We'll get into that in a little bit.
And like you saw Leia in the end.
Leia, you saw at the end.
That wasn't necessarily a spoiler because I knew Leia was going to be in it, and I knew Darth Vader was going to be in it.
Well, they had a bunch of they had other characters from the prequels, like Bail Organa. Jimmy Smits was in the prequels as Bail Organa, and he showed up. And Jonas, what did you have to say?
And the one guy that like was blind and he was using the Force and
Shira Imwe.
And he was just all the time he would go, "I'm one with the Force is with me."
Yeah, that's
and
him
then
praying.
when he died, this other guy was
the other guy. What was his name?
His friend. He was just
Bazay Malbus, I guess. Bazay. They had one of him. I almost bought it, but I don't have the money to buy it.
When he died, he
was like, "I'm one with the Force is with me." Yeah.
When he died, he was like, he walked past. He had his staff, and then he was walking down, and he was like saying, "I'm one with the Force is with me," and then started attacking the troopers with that giant.
Yeah, he like got headshot after headshot.
I loved his
boom,
blaster.
Boom, 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 boom.
And if there's one thing I want in Battlefront, it's that blaster, because that blaster was awesome. It was like attached to his back, and he looked like I can't figure out what his gig is or what his gimmick is. Some people said, I guess there was a scene where he talked about how I forget this, but they were talking about how they were chosen to guard the crystals, which they used to power the Death Star, and so. He looked like he was like one of my friends, Jason, actually mentioned in a text message we were texting. Me and my two oldest friends, I've been friends with them since I was 5, and we loved Star Wars since we were little kids, and we're texting each other back and forth, trying to like debrief one another on what we thought about Rogue One, and one thing he said was he kept referring to him as as decommissioned old clone trooper, and so maybe he was because he was also of Asian descent, and he looked, and so was Jango Fett, the original Jango, so they're clones of Jango.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, maybe that's the truth. I don't know. He was just really cool, and he was awesome. He had the best blaster in the whole movie.
They should make a Nerf gun blaster like that. That would be the best.
That attaches to your back and has
it has discs.
Yeah,
they would like shoot out.
Yeah, they've made Nerf blasters that are like as big as that, like the Vortex.
Let it be known that when Jonas was discussing that, he was mimicking it, and it looked awesome. It was so cool.
He was like this.
He was just
walking
mad.
Around and
he was the
like
coolest
this.
character. He was. If I haven't even said my favorite scene. That was my favorite, like, not my favorite scene, but he was my favorite new character. Was him? Not the Donnie Yen character was right up there. But if I had to pick one that made me like really into the movie, was that character. I liked that guy, and my favorite scene had to have been towards the end when Darth Vader's racing after the guy with the plans. And the airlock door is closing, and all of a sudden, you see Darth Vader be Darth Vader. He gets his lightsaber out, and he's force choking people. He's throwing them. He's getting the lightsaber. He's killing all these guys. It is the coolest thing ever. It's probably the coolest lightsaber action in any Star Wars movie ever.
I wish we could do that, like, in Battlefront. Like, that would be so cool, like, walking down a hallway, like... Everybody, it's a hero it's like one of those online hero battles where there's like 40 people and people are like running down the hallways, and then you just see Darth Vader, a dude spawns as Darth Vader, and he runs down those hallways just mowing the people down like, dude.
It was so cool. It was such a cool moment in
And
that
he was
movie.
like throwing them up in the air.
Yeah,
and, like, force
and he was
choking
force
them.
choking.
Okay, hold
them.
on, wait. We are at 20 minutes. If you are not spoiled, and you don't want to be spoiled, okay, we're still discussing very spoilery stuff. So, come back at 25 minutes, and hopefully we'll be done. If we're not, I'll warn you again. Okay, so, anyway, that was the coolest scene for me. I loved that. I loved seeing Darth Vader be Darth Vader, because he was never like that in the original movies either. He was just awesome, and this time he was really awesome, and I loved it. And I said my favorite new character was Bazet, whatever his name is. I'm never gonna be able. This is the worst thing about it, though. I don't remember any characters' names at all.
I just remember the dude with the Irish accent, Jin, and then Kay, and then I don't remember the other guy's names, but I remember
Dude with the Irish accent.
Well, that was what accent was that then?
Who, Cassian?
Yeah.
That was more like a Spanish, maybe.
Kind of Spanish, kind of like Irish. Like it reminded me of Irish.
No,
but
he's
it was
like
probably
Spanish or French. But anyway, so what was I gonna say? I was gonna say something. There were so many different characters in this movie that were awesome. Orson Krennic was the director. He was great. Forrest Whitaker as Saw Gerrera, who is from the Clone Wars cartoon.
That was really cool.
Here's one thing I thought was really neat. He was all right in episode 3. We're introduced to General Grievous, who is like a machine cyborg thing that can do Jedi
He's
stuff.
But he has like muscles.
But he's
Right,
has,
he's like a
muscles,
cyborg.
and
He's half
like,
machine,
yeah.
half organic. But then you have Darth Vader, who's like the ultimate. He's more machine than man. You know?
He has like the scars all over.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like Anakin anymore.
No.
Not anymore, because he like got thrown in the lava. So he's now like has like his skin is like not there anymore. It's like his skin is off now.
We saw him in the back.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
I loved like the whole part where he was like at his base.
Yeah.
Because like Death Star was kind of his base in the 4, 5, and 6, but like I think that his base in this movie was so cool because it's like it looks like it was on like the lava planet that he was like that he was burnt and cut in half on and stuff like that. So he's like staying in that place because it's kind of like sentimental maybe, but it's like it's a He-Man-esque thing. Like I was watching a video like they wanted the original concept that Darth Vader would have a He-Man Skeletor like base, but they weren't able to bring it to life until this time.
It was like Mordor.
Yeah, it was.
It was
so
like Sauron's
cool.
castle in Mordor. That's what I thought of because it looked just like it had the 2 spires and it was definitely
exactly. I think that was really cool seeing like Darth Vader's home base.
Yeah, that was cool. But what was I going to say? The thing I was getting at was, so you had General Grievous, and you had Darth Vader, and now you have Saw Gerrera, who has become more machine than man. You notice he had like the mechanical legs, and they both mismatched because you could tell. And then you had he had to do the mask thing. So it was like this perfect blend of Darth Vader without being Darth Vader, and he was a good guy.
He was kind of a good guy. He was like an anti-hero almost, like because of the scene where he was making the dude tell the truth. Like that was like a bad guy thing to do, but then he's also like siding with the rebels.
Oh, that was a great scene too.
Like, yeah.
Hold on. Yeah, that was a great scene too. When they take everybody, they put their the bags over their heads so they can see so they can't see.
Oh,
and Donnie is like, "What are you doing? I'm blind."
Yeah.
That was funny, but I thought that was neat how they had that, and I also liked how they referred to there was these factions within the rebellion. You have the rebellion, and then you have the extremists, which were led by Saw Gerrera, and how there was like this ideological rift between the two. Okay, we're at 25 minutes, and we've talked about Star Wars, Rogue One, at length. Is there anything else you guys want to add before we spoil anything? Should I add another warning?
Yes.
Another warning at like 30 minutes.
Okay, come back in about 4.5 minutes. We're gonna talk for just a little. It's a good movie, and we just want to talk about it. We don't want to ruin it for anybody who hasn't seen it yet. So come back in about 30 minutes, or not 30 minutes. Come back at the 30-minute mark. Go ahead, Josiah. Spoiler.
But like that scene was really cool. Like, just like seeing like the new like monsters that you haven't and aliens that you haven't seen, and like I think what was really cool is remember the guys that were playing the like space chess thing that like they had on the Millennium Falcon. That was almost like a downgraded version because it wasn't like the holograms,
right?
Like the fancy one, but it was like
that was neat that it was actual
almost.
Characters. Yeah. Jonas, was there anything else that really stuck out to you?
But all the characters. I'm not happy with this, but it's fine because they are not gonna make another movie. But all the characters die. And I'm not happy that the one guy that like was showing Jin the one video of her father, her father like giving him the message about the Death Star plans.
Yeah.
That how to destroy the Death Star. That was really cool.
Yeah. The hologram, and it's interesting that they made it so the design flaw was not a design flaw, but it was purposely put there, and that changes how you're going to watch episode 4, which we should do in the next couple days while it's still fresh in our minds.
We
should watch episode 4 just to kind of get just to remember what it was like. But maybe I'll tease that.
Yeah, we could watch that classic one, the classic.
Yeah, I think we will at some point. But you know what was neat was also I thought it was very interesting how. The Empire, their main planet, Scarif, was like this beach paradise planet.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite like planet in Star Wars now.
Well, it's a beach planet, but it's the Empire's planet. They chose Florida. That's
essentially what it is.
And they were like the rebels can have scummy Yavin. That's like Pennsylvania. And they can have Hoth because it's like Wisconsin, but we're gonna take Florida because it's nice. I thought that was interesting that the Empire took the nice things. The nice things are always taken by the bad
and back
guys.
to Scarif, the part where they have like the Hammerhead ship and like they bump it, the Star Destroyer, and it like hits the other Star Destroyer, and then they just like fly and just completely obliterate the shield.
That was cool because that was like strategy. There wasn't a lot of strategy in the other Star Wars movies, but there was strategy in this one.
Yeah.
I loved that.
This was like an actual like war. There was an actual war going on, and the Jedi didn't seem more powerful in this one. The Empire seemed like this giant like evil force that like you don't want to mess with. Like, especially in that scene with Darth Vader that we were talking about earlier, like, that's showing, like, it's crazy. And, like, the scale of the Death Star and stuff, like...
Yeah. Oh, and they could dial down the Death Star to just destroy cities and not just destroy whole planets.
Yeah,
and it saved Alderaan.
Cool.
I won't take credit for this. This is my friend Jason who said this. He said that the cool thing, they could dial it down and then take out a city, and that saves Alderaan, the destruction of Alderaan. As the first big test. Jonas, real quick, we have 1 minute before we have to set the spoiler warning again.
There was I saw when they were like when Jin was carrying him down the thing to like get him back onto like the beach sort of thing. Like the blast was coming right at them, and that's how those two characters died. And I'm like, they couldn't have died like more to the end.
Yeah, they got liquidated. But I liked it.
I liked how it like immediately segued to into episode 4 with like Darth Vader was on the ship, and he was on the ship in episode 4, but he was mowing down guys in another area while the stormtroopers and the rebels were fighting. But like it was like immediately the same exact ship. They speed away, and then it like immediately segues into episode 4, so you watch Rogue One and then it goes directly to episode 4.
Right, and what's interesting is in the crawl on episode 4, and we're not even spoiling anything now. So if you're listening, this is not a spoiling moment. The crawl is essentially the elevator